All right, and welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast, episode 18. We are looking at the BKT EuroCup round 16, the road to greatness, and we can actually call it the road to chaos. What we had been talking about it for a while, and we're getting there. Sergio Llebres and Sergio over there in Valencia. They just keep rolling there in your hood. But how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Personally, with Valencia, I have no problem, but this round definitely caused a chaos, as you said, because in Group B and also Group A, a lot in there's a lot to define already. So 2 rounds left, and there's everything to say right now. From the top two to the top nine, everything's uh, on the line, and it's very exciting this season. I don't remember if there was recently any season like this because we have like 100 possibilities here, and this round especially in Group B, the five teams that are competing for a playoff spot. Played against each other, and they give us very good games, and we're commenting them right now. So yeah, looking forward for round 17 already. Yeah.
Yeah, Group A, we still only have one team eliminated. That's Trefil Sopot.
Obviously.
Trento, and Joventut are still hanging on barely, 2 games behind Buducnost and Wolves. Only one of those two teams, Buducnost right now, is would be able to make the playoffs. And then in Group B. 5 teams tied at 9 and 7, and Cedevita is just 1 game better than them at 10 and 6. And yeah, what what can you say? I looked at I did the task it last night and looked at the five-way tie among the 5 teams in the Group B. Cluj kind of has an advantage. They're already done with all the other teams and play Elite Cabela's and ours, and then. They have only a +6. The biggest plus minus among those teams, among those 5 teams, is Jerusalem with a +57. Then it goes Borg. So Jerusalem, I don't care about the records right now. We're not done with it. And then, but the biggest minus is Reyer at -57. They have a couple of bad losses in there, and they really want to avoid being in a 3-way tie or 4-way tie, whatever, with either of those teams. Yeah, Valencia, because I don't think we're really going to talk about them. I do want to mention one thing about them. So they scored 100 points for the 10th time this year,
Yeah.
and I did the math. Among the other 19 teams in the Euro Cup, 19 teams, they've collectively done it 26 times. Valencia 10 times. The
Yeah.
biggest, the team with the most is 4, and that's Ulm. 3 others have 3 games. And I don't have it here. I think it was 4 or 5, something like that. Maybe I can find my notes really quick. I don't have it with me right now. There's at least 5 or 6 that have not scored 100 points this season. So, and Valencia 10 times, no problem. Let's jump in to one of our games that has caused the chaos that
Yeah.
we've all been waiting for and hoping for, and we're getting. And that's the Reyer Jerusalem game.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this game because I think it's mandatory to mention this victory that was like a nail-biting finish. Both teams had the opportunity to take the game, but Reyer in Venice had the last word because uh, defense was key here in the last moments. The player that stood out was as always Mfionduka Bengele, but um, in this time it was for his defense in the last possession. With Kyle Wilcher made both free throws to get Venice with 76 points to 75 from Jerusalem. And the thing is that in the last minute, anyone scored, and Harper in an individual play tried to score on Kabengele in a mismatch, but Kabengele was surprisingly good on the perimeter with Harper, and then put him a block that sealed the game. And it was very funny to see Kabengele celebrating with a woman in the stands dancing, and both hanging the hands. And yeah, this is was the one of the games that caused the chaos, because right now Venice, as you said earlier, is now 9-7 in the standings, and is tied with another four teams. But the first losses that they had in earlier in the season, with all injuries and problems that Neven Espagia had, is having them is causing them a problem in the average of points. So good for them in the battle, but now they need to have a good record, and also with very good victories. And yeah, this was my game because of the finish and how tight it was until the end. And Kabengele went for 16 points, and also the game saving block. And Carl Whittle, we don't have to forget about him, was key and crucial from the defense, and also with a monster dunk on a transition before the Kyle Witcher free throws, to be on advantage. So this was my game, and Venice have a little opportunity here.
The thing I want to say about this one was,
Mm.
we've been talking about Venice quite a bit of this season, about
Yeah,
and we the one of the things we mainly were talking about was, how much better they would be once Ennis came back. And this is probably, well, it's actually the well, yeah, no, this is actually the first game since the first round where they probably have the team they want. Rodney McGruder, who was really great during the season, had missed a couple of games. This was his first game back after missing 3 games. And Xavier Munford, this is only his second game back. He only played
yeah,
one round. He only played the first game of the season. And so, those are two big. Magruder came late to the season. He had, I think there was the hurricane in Florida. He stayed home and came late to the season, came late to the team for that. And Munford, hadn't been there since round one, and so they're all back. And
with the,
we
with the
talked about it
Canadian
last
trip.
we talked about it last week. It's like you lose 2 games and you go from like fourth, where there was talk that maybe they can even go for second place, down to, out of the playoffs. And, that's still the case, but now they are complete. So, that's one of the things that really, stood out for me is that, everybody is now back. And so, they could do, they have a lot more weapons. They have a lot more ways they can beat you. And, scoring hasn't been one of the things that this team has really been able to hang their hat on. So, by the way, so
Yeah.
6 teams have not scored 100 points this year yet. I found my paper. My game was Buducnost. I mean, just massively important victory at Ulm, and that's it's a moral victory as well. They went up by 17, lost that lead, and were actually down by 3 points inside the final minute, but came back. Uh, and Rashid Suleiman had a really big game, 27 points. Want to say career high. I think I looked at that earlier. And and then I can't remember his name. Wright had a big game as well. Wright's having a pretty solid season. McKinley Wright, of course. So Bruzhnos have won 4 of their last 5 games, and 3 of those games have been by 3 points or fewer. So what they've been able to do is really, I think I want to say they've gone to like what, 4 overtime games? Isn't that right? I think four overtime games. Let's
Around
see.
that, yeah. They had a lot of
Overtime. Where are we? Where is that? Come on. Yeah, four overtime games. Four overtime games. So they play tight games, and so four and three of the last four wins. No, that's not right. One of those was a 2 point loss, I believe. So, but three wins by 3 points or fewer. So they play really tight games. So, any thoughts on Buducnost? And so Buducnost, right now they're at 8-8. On the playoffs looking in, Wolves at 8-8 are on the playoffs right now looking out.
Yeah, and who would have imagined that Wolves that had that streak of wins in the mid of the season, right now they are the last team on the run for a playoff spot, and this is a massively important win for Buducnost, and also it shows that they have players that can now afford. Wins in crucial moments. Sulaimon made his best game of the season, and this shows that uh, Ulm needs to play and to let the time pass to get these players more experience. This is the type of games, and this is a spot on the season that shows how experienced players give their teams a plus, and you can see that with I don't know. Besides Sulaimon, also Yogi Ferrer was very good. Also Fletcher McGee, he didn't have his best game, but was very good on defense. I saw him, and then McKinley Wright. I think he also had one of his best games. He's doing it very well. He's averaging 10 points per game. But these last four games, he had more than 10 points each one. So this is
I think you wanted to give them a pass first point guard for Christmas, didn't you?
yeah.
You wanted to do that. You wanted to do that. I think the guys heard that and said, "Wait a minute, we can pass and score." Dished
Yeah.
out. What did they do? They dished out 14 assists. That's not the greatest. All right. Next game. Cluj, the
Those,
aforementioned
yeah.
Cluj, and
I
a little more chaos. Health. Thank you for Cluj knocking off Turk Telecom.
This is
And
my
the guy
favorite.
you want to talk about is no, it's
DJ.
not Xavier Simpson. No, it's not Xavier
No,
Simpson.
no, Xavier Simpson. No, we talked about Xavier Simpson in another episode, and I think now it's time to talk about DJ Seeley. He's in his best moment since a very long time, and it's surprisingly good in this 2025. Cluj this year has a 3-1 record with DJ Seeley being the star, absolutely. Right now, they won Tour Telecom 94-81, and besides DJ Seeley's performance that we're talking about right now, this game showed how Cluj can win games with teamwork because everyone was very implied in the game. They have very good assists. Xavier Simpson also stepped up another time, absolutely in the fourth quarter with 11 points. But DJ Seeley had 31 points with 8 triples in 9 attempts. And right now, he's unstoppable in the
On
EuroCup.
fire.
But absolutely on fire. He accumulated right now 87 points in the last four games, and that's one more point that all the points he had in the 12 games before. So he's being outrageous right now, and yeah, and Cluj victory wasn't solely reliant on its star duo. Also, Dishon Stephens, Adam Mokoka, it's contributed with 10 points. But yeah, Seeley's getting a lot of focus right now for his team, and this shows how they can now find him overall. Xavier Simpson has a very good connection with him right now. He always finds him very easily. And if you see the game, if you watch the game, Seeley doesn't need to bounce the ball or put the ball on the floor to score. And that's a very positive thing for their spacing, for their team plan, and very happy for them because they give us more chaos. I think this is the word for the episode, and crucial win and a very surprisingly good DJ Seeley with this age. Yeah.
35 years old. And
Yeah.
let's not go. Let's go last three games instead of last four. And those stats are even more impressive. 24.7
Mhm.
points in the last three games. 17 3-pointers made in three games at a 68% clip. I don't think we really need to say too much. By the way, in case you're wondering, well, why don't you talk about Simpson? Why don't you talk about him? We actually try to, as we've said a couple times, we make sure that we talk about six different games. And then when we do our focuses on the players, we actually try to focus on a player that we haven't talked about yet during the season. So you
Yeah.
won't actually hear us talk directly about Xavier Simpson. It'll kind of be like indirect or whatever. So we actually do try to talk about a new player when we do bring up a team. And
It's getting trickier every
It's
time.
getting harder. It's getting
Yeah.
harder. Then you just avoid the team. Then you could do it as the game, and then you could still kind of talk about him. So
Yeah.
my guy is a game is a guy that actually has been one of the biggest the most fascinating stories of the season, and that's Johnathan Motley at Hapoel Tel Aviv. They won a big game, 84-77 at home against at quote home against Bajasir, and of course that's a massive loss for Bajasir because now they have given Valencia the inside track for first place in the overall seed, overall number one seed, meaning home court in the play and throughout the playoffs. Should those two teams reach the finals, Tel Aviv up to 10-6, and Bajasir was number one defense, 74 points a game, and so they dropped 84 points on Bajasir. And Motley, so Motley was, and one of the reasons why I say he was one of the most fascinating stories. First, he's an absolutely amazing player, but he was almost gone. I mean, all intents and purposes, he was already with Partizan and everything else, and there was the contract situation, what's going on with him, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. There was no official. There was no official word. Tel Aviv said he's still with us. Titus comes back, and Motley's back, and so this was his sixth game since returning, and 19 points, a career high 7 assists, dealing the ball, and played 34 minutes, almost 35 minutes, and one of the reasons I think for that was especially to kind of limit Ty Odiasi, who only had 10 points. Odiasi had scored 17.4 points in the last five games. So Motley, really being able to do it at the defensive end, trying to limit. ODS only had five shots, and so that's my guy, Jonathan Motley. And yeah, it was a massive
Yeah.
win for Tel Aviv because now Tel Aviv is now guaranteed a spot in the playoffs at 10-6, and right now they're at in the second spot behind Bajasir and in Group A.
Yeah, Tel Aviv, they're grinding the script. Motley, he surprised me this time because all of the contests you told right now, but also besides the 7 assists, I wanted to talk about the defense on Odiase because um, he doesn't shine always because of his defense. He's a prolific scorer. He has a very good physique for um, play above the rim, but this work on Odiasi was key to seal the victory. And this was a mandatory result, not against Basa Gesir, but in the season to get the playoff berth. And this win against Basa Gesir shows that Hapoel Tel Aviv can be a problem in the playoffs. They have in a eliminatory. They have the keys to win a game, but I'm quite concerned that they rely a lot on three, four names. If you watch the box score, that's not everything, but only three, four players have a decent amount of points every game and a decent amount of minutes every time.
Yeah,
Motley,
Foster had 35 minutes almost as well.
yeah, and Tomer Ginat, that for me, he's one of the players of the season overall because of his work with Hapoel Tel Aviv in the shadow, absolutely, because you have Marcus Foster, Beverly, Wainwright, Motley, Caboclo, and then Tomer Ginat is the one that's playing 25, 30 minutes a game, and always he's always providing 10 points per game or something like that. Yeah, 10.2 points per game, five rebounds per game also. And he's one of the glue guys and the names that stabilizes the situation with all the goes and comes here. So yeah, I think he's one of the names for the team, and it shows this game that playoffs are gonna be interesting. Yeah, it's not only about Basakesir and Valencia.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. Both those teams have shown Valencia a little bit less that they're vulnerable.
Mhm.
So yeah, but just here, I mean, if you're able to defend against them, um, and keep up scoring,
Yeah,
that you can beat them as well. Okay, let's move on to your, we call it surprise.
yeah.
Your guy for that box in our little check
I
mark series here.
Yeah, Group B got me fascinated, so I'm not leaving that group. This round had very good games between the playoff contenders, and we go now to Bourges victory against Cerevita Olympia, 87-82. And my name is Maksim Salash. He was vital to get the victory. He had his career high in EuroCup, and also provided a very good defense. He was one of the players that contributed to limit players like Brinton Lemar and get the victory. Uh, Talking about the game, the third quarter was the key for Bourges. The 30-17 was crucial. And yeah, 9-7 record. Cedevita now 10-6. Faces a tougher path than Bourges, needing to win both remaining games to secure a second place. And Bourges' upcoming games are against Hapoel Jerusalem and Valencia Basket. They have the toughest path for the playoffs in rival terms. And talking about Shalas, he showed again. Again, no, he showed for the best time that he can be a very versatile forward because he can if he's in rhythm, he can be very good on the offense and also in defense. And and yeah, Cedevita made a spirited fourth quarter, but fell short. And in the fourth quarter, Hugo Benitez, Castañeda combined for 28 points in the game, also very good for them. And Salas, 22 points, 8 of 11 in shooting, 7 rebounds, to steal. Very good all around performance. And that was my surprise because in a team that has other interesting names, he didn't shine like this in a very crucial moment. You have Brandon Paul, Ayayi, Adrian Nelson, Jordan Acer, Castañeda, but this time was for Salas. Yeah.
Uh, Salas was part of the team that reached the EuroCup final last year. And Salas was also part of the San Pablo Burgos team that won the
Hmm.
BCL and won the Intercontinental Cup. So guy knows how to win, and
Yeah.
knows what to do as far as being on a winning team. So and Borg brings Cedevita ever closer to the mess at 10-6. Just did a quick check, and Cedevita 0-2 against Borg, 0-2 against Cedevita, 1-1 with a zero plus minus
Hmm.
against Reyer, 1-1 with a zero plus minus against Cluj, and 1-1 with a -7 plus minus against Jerusalem. So they would much rather stay away from tiebreakers with Borg and Turk Telekom. That for whoever wants to use that. My surprise guy. It's actually a guy I've been following for quite a long time. Not mistaken. I think yeah, sure. He won the Adidas Next Gen tournament back in oh golly, whenever Ritas won it with Dervitas Servitas. Marek Blazevic from Wolves had a big game in the big victory over Gran Canaria. 27 points, 6 rebounds, 13 of 13 free throws, 13 of 13 free throws. 17 points was his previous high. It was actually his career high, 27 points. As a pro, he had 23 points for Shagiris back in January 2022. And he did have a 20-point game against Maccabi in the EuroLeague in February 2022. And so it's a Vilnius native. So he's from Vilnius, started at Ritas, went to hated rival Shagiris. Then after 2 years at Obrador, is that how you say it? The Spanish
O-
team?
Obradoiro, yeah. They're now in the
Obradoiro.
second division, but they are a
He
classic.
was there for 2 years. Now he's back at Lithuania, back in
Mhm.
Vilnius, his home city, at Wolves. Still only 23, and really he's on a roll. And 14.6 points on 76% shooting and 5.6 rebounds in the last 5 games, and in the last 5 games of the EuroCup, and 13.8 points on 75% shooting, plus
And
4.4 rebounds in the last 5 games of the domestic league. And he also had 22 and 9 in the first domestic league game of the year. Um, and this is, they have scores. They have Cohen, and they have Edwards, and now Blazevic is really starting to shine. Playing against all those ACB teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona, uh,
Baskonia,
Baskonia,
Unicaja,
Unicaja, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah.
Gran Canaria, all those, all that Juventud, all those competitions, all that he learned. He was only 21, 22 during that time. So that was that. They Wolves lost a 14-point lead. Didn't actually allow Gran Canaria to get back in front. So they did end up winning. And one thing that we do have to mention, you can talk about Blazevic if you want. One thing we do have to mention, hopefully it's not serious, but Carlos
Yeah.
Alacen had to be carried off the court at halftime by two teammates. Came back on crutches, of course. This is the guy who missed 651 days. Came back for Real Madrid in late November 2023. Played with Real, and then moved to Gran Canaria, and realized we're having a great year. Had a really fantastic national team window for Spain. I imagine we'll hear something over the course of time of recording day here Thursday, if not the day after, as far as what actually happened. But didn't look good. Yeah. So your thoughts on obviously
Yeah.
prayers go out. Hopefully everything's okay.
Yeah, Alasoen, he is one of the most talented guys amongst the youngsters in Spain. Uh, he was signed by Real Madrid because of his showcased in Zaragoza, and he didn't even have a chance to show what he can do in Real Madrid. luckily he could recover with the whites, but now that he was ready to go, he signed with Gran Canaria to have a second time, a second part of his career to start again, and he's a very bad lucky guy. I don't know how to explain this because he was being prolific for Spain in the windows. The windows are 1 month from now away, so for sure he won't be able to be there. So this is a very bad new for this is a problem for Gran Canaria that faces the Spanish Cup also in 1 month, the playoffs for Spain that plays the windows. So this is going to be very serious for everyone in special Spanish basketball. This is a pity, and this was for sure the worst thing in the round. Yeah.
All right, running out of time. Let's race through round 17. Uh, so many games to pick. Maybe which one you're
Yeah.
looking forward to
I
most.
I was letting you choose because I don't really know.
You
Don't,
know, I'd probably have to go one of those games where you can eliminate Trento or Juventud. Um,
Buducnost, Juventud seems
yeah,
very.
probably one of those. I don't think Cedevita coming down, and maybe Bajasir might be interesting. See what Ulm can bounce back. They have to watch out now that they're down at 9-7. Turk Telecom 9-7, Reyer 9-7. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many games. Borg 9-7, Jerusalem 9-7, Gran Canaria. That's almost a must win for them to not get down in that mess either. Although I guess they're already through, but they still hope to get into the second place. So yeah, it's hard to pick one game when there's all of those.
Yeah, and also Gran Canaria has to face this crucial game for them without Alosen. That he is the main point guard for them right now. So yeah, I would choose any game besides Treffel support or someone who's eliminated like Hamburg. Aris, there is an interesting game here with Aris and Hamburg, but I must say Tour Telecom Umana Reyer Venice is the one for me.
All right, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, my name is Llebres11, Jabelel, 11 on Twitter and also Blue Sky or
And
X,
I am,
you can say.
yeah, and I am at High News, HEINNEWS at on both X, Twitter, and Blue Sky. This has been the Gone Traveling podcast, episode 18, looking at the round 16 of the BKT EuroCup Road to Greatness. We'll talk to you next week.